Well, greetings, Sigma race fans. We come at you here live tonight from Daytona International Speedway. And quite the storylines that have developed here coming into tonight's 500-mile event, the Sigma Daytona 500. One, for example, is right there on the front row. You've got the 82, which is usually piloted by Alan Taylor. He's going to be missing some time here in the Cup Series, and that seat is going to be a revolving door more than likely. But tonight, getting the call, it's Andrew Moger. It'll still have Alan Taylor's name on it, as this is a fill-in opportunity for some drivers going forward. But Andrew Moger, who has won the first two races of the week from Daytona here, is looking to make it a three-peat, never done by anyone ever in any format of Sigma racing. Could be a big night for this relative newcomer to the Cup side of things. On the front row, though, pole position, John Hagan in the Genesis. Then behind that, you've got Willow Blake, the rookie on a Rampage Roar project, with Trevor Walker alongside of her. Andre Stefan and Lucas Holmes, Tyler Aspinall and Monty Shangle, James Fireball Robert alongside Jacob Shangle, Carson Bowers, who made it through the sprint qualifier just last night to make the main event here with Guido Piano. And then you got Tyler Landa and Tayden Berggren, Bradley Ream and Nate Newman, Liz Shangle and Braden Varga, Tasha Wright and Ewan Whatarmy, Eli the Wolf and Kellen Relic, Lewis Trost and the 41 of Cooper Dwight, Kara Shangle and Jack Ross, Bella Fawn and Nelson Chacon, Rich Roy and Lynn Farrell, Tristan Reams and Tyler Shangle, Jimmy Logano making his Cup debut here tonight alongside John Brinker, and then you've got Chris Harvey and Al Bunch, Wyatt Wilkinson and Tom Cording, with Ant Me Person, Brian DeBlanc, Chaz Chadwick, and Matthew Fastnot. No matter where you're tuning in from, hopefully y'all are staying warm, safe. Maybe some of y'all tuning in and watching the duels at Daytona. I know I have that on in the background, so if you're worried about spoilers, just fair game. I'm probably going to be talking about that as I'm watching it as well. This race will definitely stretch longer than what's left of duel number 2 right now, so we're going to have racing going into the nighttime around Daytona here. Yeah, one of those, that's going to be an interesting storyline to follow here, is seeing what Andrew Moger can possibly do here. This is his Cup Series debut, getting that call to jump in the 82 rig from an ailing Alan Taylor. Starting on the front row, you can't have that bad of a start. I mean, that's about as good as you can get from your first time qualifying here in the Cup Series. With the early lead, it looks like, and I'm going to have to catch myself because that 82, I'm going to be used to saying the name of Allen, but it's Andrew Moger. Had a brief stint there, and now it's John Hagan to the front. Willow Blake giving the push here, getting the 88 up to the lead. You got a couple of Toyotas coming from behind here. And they've already settled into 3 wide behind the leaders here, as you've got John Hagan holding a solo line at the moment. Moger has fallen up into the high groove there, so it's going to be a little bit harder for him to get down low. Andre Stefan with the lead. Good push there from Tyler Aspinall. 95 of Fireball Robert even further behind that. And as customary this year, if we get green flag pit stops, we are going to have our Sigma comp cautions to help restack the fields here tonight. What racing we have had from around Daytona this week has been pretty tame. We did see a big one or two between Bridge to Cup and the trucks. But mostly calm, cool, and collected throughout most of the races that we've had. None of them were as long as the 500-miler that we're going to be laying witness to here tonight. So getting past that 80-lap mark, which we just barely cut past in Bridge to Cup, it's going to get interesting to see how well these cars run past the halfway point here today. Hopefully, just hopefully, we've got a good bunch of them still fighting for the win by the closing laps here. James Fireball Robert to the lead. Guido Piano right there behind him. Another side note I would like to highlight here is obviously Andrew Moger making his series debut, but at the back of the field we've also got a couple other drivers making their series debut. First time in the Cup Series there for Wyatt Wilkinson. He failed to qualify for the Armory Digital Super Speedway race last week, but came out in the sprint qualifier last night to make the final 8 cut. Him and also Jimmy Logano right there in front of him. That 28 car, Jimmy Logano, already victorious this season in Bridge to Cup action, where he took home victory in the season opener there and was given an opportunity to come race both the opening 2 races of the Cup side. Failed to qualify at Armory just as Wilkinson did. But of course there was a lot more cars trying to make the field, where last night it was a kind of a smaller group of cars trying to fight for the final spots here today. So they're at the back of the field right now, maybe just kind of getting their paces in. It's a long race. You don't want to make any mistakes, so as long as they stay in the back here and learn the field, they might be in it for the long haul tonight. Lead swapped hands again a couple times while we were looking at the back of the field there. Tyler Landa to the lead, as it's now 3 wide with Tasha Wright, Bradley Ream, and James Fireball Robert on the high side. They have pretty much settled into 3x3 from front to the back. Tyler Landa holding a steady wheel at the front of the field as the rest of them roar behind him. Bradley Ream separates himself from the pack there, settling into second right behind Landa. Fastest lap in the race belongs to Brian DeBlank, a blistering 197 miles an hour around Daytona here. Obviously, cautions are going to dissipate that lap pace, as we are currently running at an average speed of 192 miles an hour. So without pit stops, without cautions, if this race were to continue at the pace we're going, we would be done in about 2.5 hours. But rarely is that the case. Obviously not the case because you're going to have to pit. We'll see some cautions here today. And the race pace might start to look a little bit more like 175 on an average mile per hour for the race itself. Top two leaders have not shied away here as they've continued to hold the top two spots. Tyler Landa getting some laps led accumulated here. Bradley Ream not going anywhere as in that second row you've got Bradley Ream and Guido Piano. Two defending champions, well, not defending, but two champions of Sigma Racing with Bridge to Cup last year as Bradley Ream won that, and the inaugural truck champion of Guido Piano. So seems like running at the front of the field for the past champions is looking pretty good right now. Tyler Landa, he's only got one win to his name, but it was a huge win last year at Iowa. Kind of, I think it was a fuel mileage game if I remember correctly. So he kind of stole one last year. He still hasn't won another race since, but having a strong run here so far. 11 laps into the Daytona 500. There's some surprising names at the back of the field here as you've got Al Bunch kind of hiding in the background there. Braden Varga deep in the field. Some of these drivers you'd expect to see running up front. Still very, very early here tonight. A lot of these drivers are going to drop to the tail end of the field and eventually jump back up to the front. What impresses me is how no one has lost the lead draft yet. And we are 12 laps in with 42 cars all under one big blanket here. Landa still leads the way. Bradley Ream still continuing to hold second. But now you got a new third place entry here as Nelson Chacon for Calvin Steel Racing is moving his way up into the top three. Something about that number 3 at Daytona just clicks no matter what series you're racing. Bradley Ream taking the lead here away from Tyler Landa. 3 wide for third place as it's going to be Lynn Farrell on the inside. Ooh, and they are getting a little bit out of control there as you had John Brinker, Lynn Farrell, and Nelson Chacon almost get out of sorts. Tyler Landa reclaims the lead, holding that position right now. As John Brinker now trying to put that Cadillac up to second. Dang, I'm watching the duels right now. And Jimmy Johnson all the way up to second. How crazy is that? It would be so cool to see Jimmy Johnson get another win. His illustrious career and having, you know, being tied and then actually not being tied for where he's at in the all-time wins list when they gave Bobby Allison an extra win that had been held back. Jimmy Johnson's got to make it up 2 more wins to catch back up on the wins list. So, strategy calls here. We usually see pit stops around lap 36. We all know that very uncomfortably too well from this week's very painstakingly rough patch that we have hit. And you can really look at it, you know, roughly about basically a fifth of the way through the race. So you're going to have about 5 segments of this race all broken apart with pit stops. And that's given we don't have any wrecks or cautions to, you know, stretch it out, you know. So 37, roughly the window, 37, 38 laps. Then we're going to throw the competition caution. That'll take away another 3 or so laps. And then stretch it another 40. You're getting about where it's almost like stage racing here in Sigma Cup. Don't want to call it that because it's definitely not the case, but with the NR AI, we need to do something to keep the racing top notch here. I did not anticipate seeing a driver kind of walk away with the lead here as we're watching Tyler Landa. He's been able to lead about 10 laps already in the opening segment here. It's a stout performance from that number 7. That's part of the Shangle Toyota Racing stables there, the 7 Toyota Supra. Team owner Kara Shangle in the 21 out there racing tonight. We saw her briefly pop up into the picture. She's driving the Levi's jeans number 21 here tonight. There she is out on the outside line about mid-pack there. But Tyler Landa at the front doing a stellar job so far, holding off the competitors behind him. Let's do a through the field presented by Sigma here, as you've got the 52 of John Brinker in second, Bradley Ream third, Bellafon fourth, and then I'm not going to list numbers because fifth, sixth doesn't really matter as they're moving around each other here. You got Lynn Farrell and then Cooper Dwight, Ewan Whatarmy, last week's winner, looking to maybe go back-to-back in season opening races. And then you've got Rich Roy. Rich Roy has a charter, so that entry is going to be running a full-time season here without missing any races. Newcomer to the Cup side of things, it's going to be interesting to see what Rich Roy is capable of doing. Then you've got Kellen Relic, Guido Piano, Brian DeBlanc and Monty Shangle, Liz Shangle and Tristan Reams. We could have had a couple of husband-wife combos in the field as Tristan Reams' wife Maggie Reams just missed out on making the event here tonight. So otherwise you've got Liz and Monty, Kara and Jacob. Those are your husband-wife combos in the field here tonight. Followed by Nelson Chacon, Kara Shangle, Chaz Chadwick, Aunt Me Person. Me Person got so lucky that the cars wrecked during the sprint qualifier last night that he was on the outside looking in. He was able to sneak his way into a top 8 for the transfer to make it to the main event here tonight. We'll see if that can transition over to a good run for that LM Novellis number 13. Continuing through the field here, looks like you're going to have the 28 of Jimmy Logano holding about mid-pack right now. Eli the Wolf, Tyler Shangle, Taden Berggren, Andre Stefan, Nate Newman, Tom Cording, and then you got John Hagan. Hagan started on the pole here tonight, and he's already dropped way back towards the back half of the field right now. Perhaps waiting on pit stops to kind of reshuffle his deck here, but not in the best of territory there. You don't want to get in the back half because that's where the damage and the wrecks usually tend to occur. Behind that, we've got, I don't know if I mentioned Louis Trost already, but then you've got Andrew Moger looking for that three-peat. Tasha Wright, Lucas Holmes, James Fireball Robert, Jacob Shangle, Tyler Aspinall, Braden Varga, Willow Blake. Willow Blake's been off to a stellar start this season. She had a rough patch last week, unfortunately getting tangled up in a wreck, but she was running up front in all the races that she started so far. So just a little bit of bad luck striking here and there. I think she's going to have a decent run here tonight, kind of minding her P's and Q's. Al Bunch maybe playing the rope-a-dope strategy after getting caught up in a wreck last race at a super speedway. He's right there next to Jack Ross, Matthew Fastnot, Wyatt Wilkinson, Carson Bowers, and the 12 of Chris Harvey. Still no changes at the front as Tyler Landa has been putting on one hell of a run here tonight. We're going to go do a little bit of Sigma side by side, so don't go anywhere, folks. Think of this as the Turn It Up segment on regular racing broadcasts. Alrighty, back in the action here. He didn't miss a thing. Looks like Landa still pretty well holding off a charge here from Bradley Ream. Ream, your defending Bridge to Cup champion. We are seeing some interesting names at the front of the field here. Not your normal force of racers. What I'm interested in seeing here is what Cooper Dwight's got for the field. That 41 has actually, him and his teammate Carson Bowers both have found ways to get into these main events as an uncharted entry. And with the deck stacked against them, they have now made 2 for 2 in the season opening races. And with success like that, it's only a matter of time before it snowballs into a full-time career here in the Cup Series. With the likes of Cooper Dwight, he's going to be running full-time in Bridge to Cup this season and still trying to do it, the standard progression way of winning Bridge to Cup to graduate here to Cup. But you never know. You just you get yourself out there, get the wheel in the door, and maybe, just maybe, he's going to have more starts this season in that 41. 3 wide is kind of dissipated here into 2 wide from front to back. Pit stops upon the horizon here. Cooper Dwight with the fastest lap, a 197.937. As you can already tell, we run at Daytona without a restrictor plate here in Sigma Cup. You would not see Cup guys running nearly 200 miles an hour like this due to safety reasons. But because this is NR2003, what safety? We don't need no safety measures in place. The AI cars they'll break and shatter. The driver will still be fine. He'll come back next week and run it again. Of course, we have been toying with the idea of implementing an injury system here in Sigma Cup. Not really going to do anything about Bridge to Cup, ARCA, or trucks with that. This is going to be kind of our test factor this year, and it'll all be on a play-by-play basis on whether or not there's one of those wrecks that you're watching here in Sigma Cup where you're like, how in the world can someone walk away from that? And so that's kind of what we're toying with, and it's not like there's a concrete project in place, but you'll kind of know it once you see it. And it'll be on a play-by-play basis, and we'll determine whether or not that driver is going to miss time or need a replacement, from race to race. First round of pit stops happening here on lap 32. These Cup cars not able to go near as long as the other series of racing that we saw here this week. And this is exactly why we throw a comp caution here in Sigma Cup. As you can see, even with those that have come down pit road, the draft has destabilized to a level of extreme uncertainty here. So many drivers that took the pit stop a lap earlier, it looks like, as you have John Brinker, Bradley Reams currently leading, but put a couple drivers a lap down because they had to pit a lot earlier than most. We're going to have to keep an eye on the danger zone here because this is a topsy-turvy exit of pit road these drivers take here. Braden Varga may have run it too long. It looks like he's coasting around the track. Some of these drivers, and the engine's gone silent. As you can see, Braden Varga has actually run it out of gas, trying to push it a little too long here. we might get our Sigma comp caution before everyone pits, which would be a nightmare. Yeah, it's getting down to the point where these drivers need to come down pit road. They wasted too much gas. That's a heartbreak for a couple drivers here that probably didn't even need to make that mistake. Still trying to see if Braden Varga made it back to pit road or if he simply came to a halt. Oh, he's going to coast. He's coasting all the way to his pit stall. Braden Varga saved by the bell here, it looks like. That is probably the most bizarre start to our green flag cycle that I've seen ever. We need to wait till everyone's back on the lead lap here, which might just take another lap. These drivers are going to blow by Bradley Ream here. And here comes our Sigma comp caution. Somehow, Trevor Walker was able to stretch it super long here on his green flag cycle. At least it looks like we're only going to have to give the wave around to two drivers at the back of the field, the 56 of Andre Stefan and the 88 of John Hagan. No, actually, it cycled out just fine. John Hagan's on the lead lap as well as Andre Stefan. Braden Varga doesn't fall a lap down, so he's going to have the benefits of the caution fallen here. I'm not sure I like this, but well, already off to a grand start here as I threw the comp caution just a little bit too early. I really, for the life of me, hope this doesn't just put everyone a lap down behind the 22. If it does, then we will simply send him to pit road to serve a black flag penalty. As it should hopefully work out. I think everyone's going to rejoin the racetrack here, and he's going to come down pit road, so it's pretty much going to be a wash here as to whether or not everyone's going to go a lap down. 50. Tom Cording took some damage we missed. Ooh, ow, ow. It's a little bit of a bunch up once the caution fell here. Sometimes unavoidable at Daytona, I guess. Ooh, 82, that's Moger. The 50 gets a rear end from the 56. Hagan checks up in time, but the 9 of Varga gets a little bit of damage there as well. Well, a few drivers a little bit rougher for the wear. Well, Trevor Walker spending an extra amount of time on pit road here. And it's going to all work out just fine, I guess. He is serving a long time on pit road here. And your new leader, it looks like it's going to get handed over here to Lynn Farrell. Second place is going to be Bellafon. We're going to get back and rolling for the restart here as the lights go off on the pace car. Then you have Guido Piano, John Brinker, Rich Roy, Tyler Shangle, Eli the Wolf, Brian DeBlank, Bradley Ream, Cooper Dwight, Nelson Chacon. Wyatt Wilkinson has jumped up into the top 15 there. Tristan Reams, Chris Harvey, Kara Shangle, Jimmy Logano up in the top 20. Ant Meeperson, Al Bunch, Matthew Fastnot, Monty Shangle, Carson Bowers, Jack Ross, Kellen Relic, Nate Newman, Louis Trost, Jacob Shangle, Braden Varga, the 90 of Tasha Wright, Tyler Landa deep in the field now from leading earlier to 30th. Liz Shangle, Willow Blake, Ewan Whatarmy, Taden Berggren, Andre Stefan, Lucas Holmes, James Fireball Robert, Chaz Chadwick, John Hagan, Tyler Aspinall, Andrew Moger, and Tom Cording. Trevor Walker evidently must have a mechanical issue keeping him on pit road here even longer, as your pace cars coming around turn 4 now. They're going to get back and rolling for the restart. As they roll through the gears here, it's going to be a drag race between Bellafon and Lynn Farrell. And Sigma officials are going to be extra quick on the trigger here tonight and making sure enforcing damaged vehicle policies are being followed here. We're going to have a pretty strict no slower than 3 seconds policy. And as it's looking, we're going to have to keep our eyes on the 50 of Tom Cording here. If he's 3 seconds off his fastest time, he is going to get a black flag. Unfortunately, it's the end of the day for Tom Cording here, as he is 6 seconds, 8 seconds off the pace here. But even with a few other vehicles that had some damage in that bunch up, you're looking at Moger, who could still potentially have a good shot at running for a win here tonight. As long as you stay in that lead draft, you should be golden. Trevor Walker now exiting pit road, and he might exit pit road at a very vicarious position here, as he's going to be right in amongst the pack. Hopefully he doesn't just take out half the field here. Everyone roars around him, and they might even be 4 wide at a point. 45, it looks like we broke away part of the group there. Only about 5 cars lost the draft from that unusual track re-entry. So you got Guido Piano, Eli the Wolf, Bradley Ream, and Rich Roy fighting it out for the top 5 right here. Another new fast lap had been set here. It looks like Monty Shangle with a 198.322. That is blistering around Daytona. Fast lap with a 45.3 second. So far, this group still running adequate lap times. They're still only about 1 second short of their fast laps. So looks like we've been able to weed out the ones with damage pretty well here. Things are heating up a little bit more at the front as it's 3 wide behind your 2 leaders. And it's going to be another race to the next round of pit stops if we don't have a wreck or a caution to separate it up. They made it 32 on the first stretch. Caution came out on lap 37. Back to racing around lap 40 here, so we're looking at about lap 72 when the next comp caution will come out. Kara Shangle up to the front now, taking the lead away from Bradley Ream. Not to be outshined by her brother, who had led for the first stint. Maybe now it's opportunity for the team owner to take first point here. However, 3 wide for the lead. It's going to put Carson Bowers in a position to lead now as Jimmy Logano gives him a push. Kara was credited with lead lap over Bradley Ream by 0.00 of a second. So at least the 21's going to get a lead lap point here tonight, as the field is getting all sorts of bunched up here. Looks like Al Bunch, Chaz Chadwick, and Braden Varga could sense the storm starting to brew, and they are sitting in the back there as they could forecast maybe a wreck is upon the horizon. 3 by 3 all the way from front to the back of this lead pack. And now is definitely not the time to get antsy, as there's still a lot of racing to be done, 150 laps. Holy cow, Willow Blake just turned the fastest lap. We are almost eclipsing 200 miles an hour here tonight, folks. 45.072, fastest laps we have seen at super speedways this year. Pole position for Armory was a 45.2. So these drivers are laying it out on the line here tonight. Willow Blake, kind of a surprise, but I think she's coming around here in the second stint of the race. The intensity in the racing is really skyrocketed here as a lot of these drivers seem to be finding their rhythm, getting a good flow going. Impressive how we have Jimmy Logano now up to third here, fighting in what is his first career Cup start up the front of the field. Carson Bowers, one of those open drivers that had to race their way in, putting on a good showing so far. Louis Trost, not Tristan Reams. Louis Trost trying to find resurgence in his Cup career. He had a rough campaign last year, and the first season, his rookie year, found victory lane and was denied victory last year. So coming back a little bit more hungry to figure out a way back into victory lane. That 29 up into the top 5 right now alongside Tristan Reams. Monty Shangle behind him. You got Bradley Ream on a stellar run. Wyatt Wilkinson had been sitting back in the background for the majority of the first stint to the race and is trending in the upward direction. That 17 Honda for LFG Motorsports. This could be a big deal for that team. Have a good finish here tonight. If anyone is tuning in for the first time here around lap 52, you haven't missed a whole lot. Everyone has been racing clean, very methodical, and keeping their cars clean here so far. We did have one comp caution for 3 laps, and we are probably trending towards another comp caution if they keep racing this clean. In the sprint qualifier last night, they raced this clean, but when the white flag waved, that's when everything went out the door. So perhaps, maybe we might see a lot of the same here tonight, where the drivers, they're keeping their eyes on the prize, and they're going to save their best for last. There's no reason to overdo it now and take yourself out in a wreck before the final lap of the race is even run. Go ahead and hop on Wyatt Wilkinson here, and we'll do another side-by-side Sigma break, folks. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. well, 59 laps in the books, 141 laps to go. Jimmy Logano looking to lead in his first ever Cup start here. This could be a big deal as well. I mean, we've got so many big deals, whether it was Jimmy Logano, Cooper Dwight, Wyatt Wilkinson, and then even the storylines such as Bradley Ream, your defending Bridge to Cup champion, making the move up to Cup full-time. And then there's drivers kind of like, just relative unknown too. You got Tasha Wright in the 90 as a part-time driver. She's up into the top 15 there. Brian DeBlanc looking to try and establish his name in the Sigma Cup Series as a force to be reckoned with. And Lewis Trost leading the way as it is right now. Andrew Moger is in the field here tonight and looks to try and do what no one has ever done by winning 3 races at the same track in the same week. He won the truck race. He won the Bridge to Cup race here at Daytona. 2 for 2. But that third one might be very elusive, as he did get a little bit of damage on his 82 machine, and he's running a little further back in the pack, but still alive. And often, if you're in the race, you can still have a chance to make something of it. New leader at the front of the field is you've got John Brinker now, bringing Tyler Shangle with him, and Tasha Wright up into the top 3. Pit stops are likely going to be coming here in about 5 to 10 more laps, as the drivers have held serve here, keeping it clean. 66 laps in, 134 to go. That was a bit of a rough rejoin there from Andre Stefan, as everyone else was able to pretty much recover, but definitely separating the field up a little bit here. Pit stops have started right around lap 69 here. As you see, here's a couple of the drivers on pit road now taking their service. Definitely a lot more cars looking a little bit battered and bruised here tonight, as I think it's going to recycle back around. with Tyler Shangle the leader and a Sigma comp caution to follow. So our second caution of the race, none of which have been due to a wreck or mishap on anyone else's part. We still have all 42 cars out there running, minus the 50, of course. Looks like the wave around is going to be credited to Andre Stefan and Trevor Walker on this following restart. Al Bunch is saved by the bell yet from the yellow comp caution here. And we're getting closer to halfway here, folks. It's going to be a long one as we've already gotten to lap 73. So roughly about 2/5 of the way through the race here tonight. Tyler Shangle leads at the moment with Monty Shangle, John Brinker, Belafon, Tasha Wright, Wyatt Wilkinson, Brian DeBlanc, Taden Berggren, Nelson Chacon, and Liz Shangle, your top 10. We're going to keep following the front of the field here. As likely pit stops are going to be, I'd imagine drivers are going to come down pit road before the next restart. So there we go. Yep. The running order might get shaken up again a little bit here. We'll keep our eyes on Tyler Shangle on entry and exit. Well, this is wild. I don't know what's got... Oh, a flat tire. Tyler Shangle from the lead gets a flat tire, has to come back down pit road. Service, just change the tires. Well, or was it a pit stop for gas only? Quick gas and go. That's what it was. Quick gas and go. Comes back out with the lead. Has a flat tire and has to shuffle all the way back to the tail end of the field. What a rough turn of events there. So, on the restart, it's going to be Tasha Wright with Wyatt Wilkinson leading them to the restart. Tasha Wright settles in with the lead here as Wyatt Wilkinson's in second. Ant Meeperson in third. Rich Roy, Monty Shangle, and Chris Harvey now resurging to the front of the field. Harvey's been at the back half of the field all night so far. Now starting to show a little bit more strength as we reach closer and closer to halfway in tonight's race. Wilkinson on the attack here as Brian DeBlanc making a move up as well. Liz Shangle, you got some names that are starting to trend to the front that are kind of crown jewel killers. Liz Shangle has accumulated a couple crown jewel wins in her career. I can see Eli the Wolf back there a little bit too. He's a contender for these crown jewel races almost every week that he attempts them. So don't count him out either. Brian DeBlanc settles into the lead now as this comp caution has allowed more of the field to get bunched back up in our lead draft. Chaz Chadwick, your slowest in the draft, back to 41st right now. He's got Andre Stefan to hang out with. And then you've got Andrew Moger still very much with a shot at finding his way to the front again. That 82 took a little bit of damage when they got bunched up. And what is wrong with the 29 of Lewis Trost? It looks like he was weaving backwards through the traffic there. Doesn't look like there's anything wrong with the 29, just a little bit of a bad lap there as he settles back in on the bottom line. You can definitely tell that these drivers are fighting for a crown jewel event here tonight. Daytona 500, one of the most highly coveted races in stock car racing, making its evolution up into the Sigma Cup side of things. Wyatt Wilkinson, your defending ARCA champion, putting on a great showing here at the front of the field. He's now putting up a fight here with the 52 of John Brinker. Folks at the front of the field still running 3x3 and not giving an inch. These drivers putting it out there on the line. Tadenberger now leading. He got denied last week where he could have won his first career cup win and ended up coming home second to Ewan Whatarmy. So it's kind of looking promising here to see that 43 again at the front of the field, where he's struggled to have good runs put together. Back-to-back weeks, though, 43 at the front of the field. Maybe it's time Tadenberger knocks the monkey off his shoulders. I see Jimmy Logano peeking into the picture again. That kind of magenta, number 28, black and magenta, Avail financing, number 28 Chevy. Willow Blake right behind him. Willow Blake with the fastest lap still here. I'm still waiting to see a driver put down 200 miles an hour tonight. 199.404. Maybe once the gas gets a little lighter, maybe these cars will rail around the track for 200 miles an hour. But until then, everyone, they're racing like they want to wreck, but they have not wrecked yet. And to make it this deep into the race of the 500 miler without wrecking is impressive. Just goes to show you that we do have some of the best racers in the field for this Sigma Cup Series. Tristan Reams, at one point in his career, was a road course ringer. Starting to show his versatility here by running strong in the super speedways. Sitting in second as he's got Jimmy Logano on his inside. And Willow Blake peeking into the picture as well. She had a rough patch last week where she was up in the top 10 fighting for a win just to get tangled up in a mistake not of her doing. So the point standings don't really show the strength that she's been putting down on paper. And I think here tonight we might see a different result for that 19 team, as she is putting down the fastest lap so far and hunting for a top 5, maybe even lead some laps here before halfway. Each stint of the race so far, we've seen breakout leaders. Our first stint was Tyler Landa leading for the first 30 laps or so. And during that second stint, we saw Kara Shangle out front leading. Well, now for our third stint, just shy of halfway here, it looks like Tayden Berggren is the one putting down the laps. We have seen Bradley Ream at the front all night. Ream has never gone away. He keeps finding his way back up to the front, contending for the lead. And just like that, a little bit of help from Jimmy Logano. Those are two drivers that we have seen up here all night so far. Willow Blake trying to push the envelope here as she sees a chance. She wants to take it. The 28 of Jimmy Logano right there in front of her. Could she possibly get side by side with him? Coming back to the front of the field again, it's Tyler Landa. So we saw him lead for a huge stint. Could he come back and find the lead again? Well, I think it's a good enough time to throw out another side-by-side break. Don't go anywhere, folks. Get up, grab a drink, grab a snack. I'll be back in a moment as we go side by side. Well, Bradley Ream putting on a show now as he's holding off Willow Blake and Nelson Chacon. Throw into the mix. Now you've got Nate Newman in the Cadillac, that number 20 white car moving up into the field. Nate Newman took a big dive this year, jumping from a race-winning team to start his own venture with his own team in the Cadillac side of things. And last week was forgettable. I think they went back to the drawing board after pretty much running at the tail end of the field from the practice and qualifying, duels, and even the main race. They needed to come back swinging this week to figure out what was wrong with that Cadillac. And of course, this being the first year that Cadillac has actually staged a team in Sigma Cup, it's kind of expected, you know, for there to be some growing pains and whatnot. And this is only the second race of the season, so I think Nate Newman's getting it figured out here and might very well be on the right path to getting some good finishes for that number 20 team. Lap traffic putting a bit of a damper on the front of the field here as Bradley Ream and Willow Blake both catch Chaz Chadwick and Andre Stefan. And they, I think, pitted, so that's only because they pitted. Their cars are not damaged by any means, so they should kind of merge back in with the draft. But this could be a little bit of a danger zone for these leaders. The unknown with the traffic in front of them here. We are officially at halfway now, as Willow Blake was leading there and Guido Piano jumps to the lead, but now you've got Monty Shangle. Oh wait, there's two cars out there that look identical, Monty's and Lynn's. They both have Pizza as one of the primary focuses. I got mistaken there. That is not Monty Shangle taking the lead. That is actually Lynn Farrell in the number 69. If you look at the 38, you'll be trying to find, yeah, right there at the back half of the field. Monty's actually in about 30th place there. Similar, but noticeably different. You got to blame the painter on that one. I obviously painted a couple of the cars too close to similar, and especially at super speedways where you know, your field of vision is from one end of the track to the other sometimes. You can definitely make mistakes when calling the shots here. Got Guido Piano now taking the lead. He is in the same essence of Kevin Harvick, a very great super speedway racer. Most of his truck wins have come at Talladega, Daytona, and any of the other super speedways that we host. He has found victory lane at just about all of them. It's awesome in our Sigma series that we've grown to this level since the transition to YouTube in 2022 that we actually have champions from the ladder. Your, truck champion leading the way right now. And last week, Bridge to Cup champion won the race. Well, don't look now, but that same driver, the Bridge to Cup champion, is back up into third. Could Ewan Whatarmy potentially make it 2 for 2 back-to-back weeks with the odds stacked against him? It's crazy enough to win one super speedway race, but if you can somehow find a way to win 2 of them, you might as well go out and buy a lottery ticket. Whatarmy had a decent season last year, and it's crazy to say. I mean, so many drivers had decent seasons last year, but it was overshadowed by the utter dominance from Al Bunch with 15 wins, 25 top 5s, 30 top 10s, that even, Ewan Whatarmy with 2 wins on the season was a decent year. But no one could hold a candle to Al Bunch's 15 wins last year. And I think we're going to start seeing a little bit of a return to normalcy this season as dominance maybe got shifted to the side for parity. Al Bunch, there's a lot of changes with the Jaguar model out there, the XJ Jaguar that saw victory so many times last year. Even Kellen Relic went to victory lane a couple times. Crazy just how stout the Jaguars were. And there you see Kellen Relic in for his pit stop here. We're going to keep an eye on the front of the field to determine when to throw our Sigma comp caution. Seems like Al Bunch just on the wrong end of the strategy calls here tonight. He's on the edge of going a lap down again. Must be that he's pitting all alone or something. He's getting saved by the comp caution every single time. Earlier in the race, the first stint, we did see drivers pushing the fuel tanks further than they should have gone, where Braden Varga actually ran it out of fuel, stretching it longer than most, and I think has kind of given that car a little bit of damage. The fact that he ran it empty, he has not looked near as stout since running it empty. Not seeing where we're going to have any drivers push it that close again. I think they learned their mistakes and adjusted accordingly. Lewis Tross staying out. Looks like he's going to be coming down pit road here shortly, as we still haven't fully cycled through. And here's another big chunk of them coming down pit road. And that might be the rest of them, because it looks like it's probably going to rotate back around to Guido Piano as he's on his warm-up lap here. The pace lap is probably the slowest you'll see, because without the restrictor plates here at Daytona, the closing rate is insane. As you saw him blow by the 20, the 29. This should rotate us back around to Al Bunch being right on the tail end of going a lap down yet again. We saw that in the last round of green flag pit stops. And there's your new leader. As all of them have sorted out, we will throw our third Sigma comp caution of the night. Looks like a few drivers did fall a lap down. It's going to be the 95 of Fireball Robert, Jacob Shangle, Chaz Chadwick, and Andre Stefan are all going to have a wave around here. Laps have been clicking away pretty quickly here tonight. Still 41 cars on the field. That can't often be said for Daytona once you get to lap 100. Looks like we had an engine failure out of the 09 of Fastnot, as he's now retired. Valve failure for the 09 of Fastnot. Just your second retirement of the night here on lap 109. Here is the last lap that Fastnot turned. Hold on, actually, I'm going to take a brief pause here, folks, as save our replay at around halfway point here. He was just trying to get back up to speed on the backstretch. I think we're going to see mechanical failure happen right about here, maybe. Yep, blows her up. And so I think just a factor of attrition here tonight. Everyone's been running these engines like striped apes, and we'll retire the 09 here on lap 109. So, heading into the restart, it looks like Brian DeBlank's going to be your leader. Louis Trost, John Brinker, Kara Shangle, Tristan Reams, Bradley Ream, Monty Shangle, Eli the Wolf, and Liz Shangle, with Rich Roy and now Guido Piano rounding out your top 15. There'll be one more lap under caution here as the lights on the pace car should go off next time. We will have 40 cars all on the lead lap roaring into the restart. Green flag pit stops continue to shake up the running order here as we have seen so many comers and goers. And it's going to come down to strategic timing of making those pit stops for the green flag pit stops, I think. As 89 laps remain, you're looking at least 2 more stints of green flag pit stops to factor in. And with that, I mean, you're still looking at another pretty much 2 full stints left of this race before the final stint, which could be a short one, it could be a long one, depending on how everything falls into place here. Of your top 5, there's only one driver without a win in Sigma Cup competition. That is the 52 of John Brinker right there. He is surrounded by race winners that have won a handful of races, I would say, not the winningest of drivers, as super speedways tend to always bring out a mixed bag of, who's who at the front of the field. Bradley Ream also searching for his first career Sigma Cup win, as well as Eli T. Wolf. Rich Roy, Nate Newman. There's a lot of possible candidates to get their first career wins here tonight. It's kind of a shift, a guard change, if one might say. The old guard's on the way out, and the new guard is on the way in. So many of these drivers trying to establish their name in the Sigma Cup Series. Pace car is off. We've got 87 laps left in this crown jewel event here tonight. The slow roll back up to speed here at Daytona. A lot can be made during the moves. It's like a game of chess here, getting up to speed, not missing a gear, shifting through the gears and whatnot. A lot can be gained on these restarts, and a lot can be lost. Brian DeBlanc settles in right in front of Louis Trost now. As we get back to racing, they're roaring through turns 3 and heading into turn 4. We have still not seen a singular wreck here tonight. 3 competition cautions, or as some might say, stage racing, but it's not. We don't want to call it stage racing. We, here with the Sigma Series, throw competition cautions. And that's only because the AI are not smart enough to make logical decisions while pitting on a super speedway. This is the only style of racing that we will throw comp cautions all year. It's kind of the new rule change to try and provide us with the most exciting results here. And what better way to do it than to have 40 cars roaring around Daytona, all of which still have a shot at winning the race here tonight. Bit of a breakaway as Brian DeBlanc and Louis Trost are trailering their way away from the rest of the pack. But now you got Monty and Liz on the inside line there. This could be a deadly duo as the 2 Ford-powered entries working their way up to the front here. Daytona is one of those tracks, no matter what style of racing, whether it's NASCAR, IMSA, Supercross, you just want to have your name on a trophy that came from Daytona. And that's no different here tonight. Every single one of these 40 drivers would love to walk out of here tonight with their name on the trophy adorned by the logo featuring Daytona. It's really not the nitty-gritty time yet, as 84 laps is still a lot of racing, a lot of time to make calculated decisions here. But it's getting closer to where, it's just going to be nut up or shut up time running to the finish. Monty now up to second, right behind DeBlanc. Amongst the server, DeBlanc actually had a winning NFL playoff. We did a pick with the bracket, a playoff bracket, and he smoked everyone and ended up picking the Eagles to win it. And so as that reward, he was gifted a plus 10 min-max to his car, which might be a bit extra, but we only do the Super Bowl once a year, and therefore only have the pick'ems once a year on our servers. So yeah, he's going to be able to roll with that plus 10 boost to his cup car here, and it seems to be paying dividends right now. Side by side for the lead, drag racing down the backstretch. Monty trying to take the lead away from Brian, but not getting the job done. Hey, look at that. The pair of cars that I said were very similar and hard to discern between, they're nose to tail right now. How fitting. Now you can really tell that how similar but how different they are. I mean, there's some accents to the 69 that pop off with the yellow, and the 38's a lot darker with not as much yellow accent. But they're both pizza cars, and now running nose to tail there on the inside line, first and third. Willow Blake keeping close to the front here as she's in the top 10 there. Not looking like as many people dropping off the draft, as the furthest back we've got is Chaz Chadwick. 2 seconds off of his fast lap time. Andre Stefan, these guys, they're staying within the damaged vehicle protocol. They're not more than 5 seconds off the pace, but they are starting to look more and more like a hazard to the rest of the field if it keeps becoming a reoccurring problem here. Al Bunch kind of laying a goose egg here tonight, which is amazing as your defending champion. Then you've got Jacob Shangle, James Fireball Robert, Lucas Holmes, and Braden Varga. There's a pair of KBM cars outside of the lead draft with Braden Varga and Fireball Robert there. Carson Bowers just out of reach from the lead draft. And then we've got 32 cars all within reach here, as Andrew Moger in the call-up opportunity, still putting on a good showing here. Started on the front row, filling in for Alan Taylor. And if, a little bit of luck could go his way, he could be fighting up there with his team owner. Moger had won both races here this week already. Won the truck race at Daytona. Won the Bridge to Cup race here at Daytona. And so it was, a perfect opportunity, kind of the perfect storm to give him an opportunity to start this Cup race here tonight. I mean, who wouldn't give him the chance to go for 3? At the same track, on the same week, I mean, you don't get those kind of opportunities very often. I'm just glad to see in a fill-in opportunity here that he's given that 82 car a good run. In the meanwhile, it's still Monty and Brian leading the way, as those two just swap the lead back and forth, back and forth. Well, I'm going to take another brief intermission here, folks, but don't go anywhere. Sigma side by side will keep you rolling with the action. This in its own feels like a crown jewel event. We have been treated to a spectacular race here tonight. Every driver still pretty much with a shot to win that's left running. You know, we could have a big one any moment, and someone from deep in the pack could still find victory lane here tonight. But it's all about who's at the front of the field right now, and Monty Shangle, Brian DeBlank putting on one stellar drag race at the front of the field. the two continue to swap back and forth, as it seems to have now bunched the rest of the field up a little bit. You're seeing 3 wide through the mid-pack there. What's been problematic all week here at Daytona is once we get into that 4 wide territory. We have seen them get 4 wide a couple times tonight, but these are the best of the best when it comes to Sigma racing, and they've been able to tread through some murky waters here tonight. 3 wide for the lead as Bellafon pushes the envelope there on Monty. Brian DeBlanc holds the lead steady for now. He's going to try to cut off the 38's line, but he won't be able to cut off the momentum from the 42 as Bellafon jumps to the lead here. Bellafon out of Seattle, Washington. This could be on par for one of her best finishes yet. She came close to finishing first at the Coke 600 last year, Crown Jewel event, and unfortunately just finished second. So she's been able to just get on the cusp of winning these Crown Jewel events. Tonight looking like another opportunity for her to try and win at the biggest stage on a Sigma Cup Crown Jewel event. We did see Jimmy Logano start to surface up at the front of the field, and he's kind of petered out running in the mid-pack right now. Trevor Walker coming back out onto the racetrack. Hopefully everyone makes it around him cleanly here. That's going to hold up Bradley Ream and a whole gaggle of them, as the 22 still not getting up to speed here. He's going to be holding up traffic for a little while. I'm going to make the executive order here that the 22 has made a few mistakes here tonight. We're going to DQ the 22 as soon as he gets clear of the traffic here. He's been gone a lap down few too many times tonight. They just haven't figured out what's wrong with that car, as they've made multiple trips down pit road earlier than the rest of the field. Well, shoot, now he's caught up with the group here, and he's drafting just fine, so we can't do much. Don't want to DQ him and have him cause a wreck pulling off the track, so we'll just leave him be for now. It's a bummer that he ended up separating our leaders into 2 different packs there. Lewis Tross leading this second pack. It's going to take quite a while to catch up to this lead pack. But who knows, maybe it's a blessing in disguise to break them up into 2 packs here. If you get a wreck at the lead pack, that second pack may have a chance to avoid it. Andre Stefan also a repeated offense here, as he's continually going laps down. It must be residual of damage. Tire failure from a couple drivers. The 22, the reason he dropped backwards is he had to come in for a tire repair on a flat. A 90 of Tasha Wright as well had a flat tire, and she had to come in get that repair done. Go ahead and DQ Andre Stefan. Sorry about that, buddy, but it's just not your day, as we're going to be down to 39 cars left running with a shot at winning here tonight. And Chadwick a lap down now too. Seems like they've got the early pit stop, so once this long green flag stint pulls through, they're usually the first ones to shuffle out of the lead lap. Things are getting strung out here, a lot of single file now. This might allow that second group to get caught back up before green flag pit stops factor in. What should be a fright for the rest of the field is the fact that Ewan Whatarmy has a very valid shot at going 2 for 2 here in the season openers. Up into the top 5, looking to try and take a few more spots there to get maybe into the top 3. Goes way high there, and that's going to give Willow Blake an opportunity to move in on the inside. Nelson Chacon now on the back bumper of Monty there. Number 3 at Daytona, how fitting. And Monty's dipping down pit road, as well as the 23 of Guido Piano. And that might be a problematic early pit stop there. You don't want to be the first to come down pit road during a green flag stint, as you're likely going to rejoin the racing surface with limited drafting help. So hopefully that doesn't affect the track position too bad for the 38 and the 23. Going to see more takers here as you got the 85 of Brian DeBlanc, 77 of Tyler Shangle, the 51 of Tristan Reams, and here comes Louis Trost, as well as another group of takers down pit road. Staying out a little longer here, as we are down to now 59 laps left to go in the Sigma Daytona 500. It's looking more and more like our next comp caution is going to come here in about 3 laps, maybe less. As Ewan Whatarmy leads the way right now, Nelson Chacon fighting out on the outside. Willow Blake and some slower traffic holding up. Finally, you got the 3 of Chacon and the 7 of Landa coming down pit road here. But that just means the one of Whatarmy still out there leading the way. Now mixed in with some of the drivers that have made their pit stops here. You also happen to have Willow Blake. Still holding the fastest lap of the night here with a 199.4 mile an hour average lap. Not quite in the 44-second category, but damn close with a 45.072. Fastest laps we've seen this year already between the two super speedway races we've hosted. I don't know what's in the tank for Ewan Whatarmy, as he is still out there leading the way. Wonder if he's running on different form of fuel. That number one car stretching the mileage further than anyone here. Surely he's going to have to come down pit road this time, as he's trapped inside. Yeah, he's pitting now, so Tasha Wright following right behind. She was up to second impressively, even with a flat tire that she had to fix somewhere during this stint. And now back to our leaders here. Is if we can somehow have that miraculous green flag stint where we've still got a big drafting group together, we could sit off on throwing the comp caution here. It's very, very, very rare to find the AI come back out on track and actually reestablish a big drafting group. But things could get kind of sorted here as they are getting past the last of the pit stoppers. Ewan Whatarmy out to a resounding lead here, but it's all going to dissipate once Tyler Shangle closes the door. I think, folks, we might just stick with it here instead of throwing a comp caution, because I'm liking how many cars we've got gathered back up here for the fight. We might save that comp caution for the next round of green flag pit stops when they really get strung out. So in the meantime, you got about a 10, 11 car group here, which was about where it was before the pit stops. That second group could get back into this pretty easily. They're not too far out of the mix. That one is being led by Tasha Wright, Jimmy Logano, Bradley Ream, Louis Trost, and Liz Shangle. Even further back, you still got other groups that could slowly work their way back up to the front. Well, maybe that's the case. You just got to wait till 150 laps into a race for the AI to actually make pit stops that make sense. Instead of risking it for the biscuit early in the race, they've started to figure out where they need to make their stops and how they're going to make it work. 22 is... Wow, Trevor Walker for position. I was about to DQ the guy for being a roadblock. Wow. Talk about huge reversal of fate there for the 22. Monty Shangle back to the lead here as your second group has caught up. It looks like we've got about 16 strong at the lead fighting for the win. 20 strong, 19 actually. And I still would not count out this secondary group from getting sorted and rejoining the lead pack as they're on the backstretch. They're on the way through turns 3 and 4. 50 laps remaining here in the Daytona 500. Under the lights, Sigma Cup racing. It has been a treat here tonight. The hardships and tribulations that we've had to deal with getting these streams in this week, it seems like it's all going to pay off for one tremendous finish here. It's not very often at Daytona that you have 20 cars all with a shot to win it in the closing laps, and that's exactly what we've got on store here. All of the contenders that have been up front all day are there. You've got Tyler Landa, you've got Bradley Ream, Jimmy Logano, and then the likes of even Tyler Shangle, Monty Shangle, Taden Bergeron back up to the front, Ewan Whatarmy. I mean, it's a who's who of the new, the new blood mixed with the old blood fighting for a win here tonight. Then you got Jimmy Logano on the move, making some progress to the front here. Rich Roy, rookie campaign. This is his first Cup season. So many rookies at the front of the field. It's crazy. Without that comp caution, you're going to actually start to see a group of cars become in the crosshairs of our lead group here, as you've got the likes of Al Bunch, Jacob Shangle, Braden Varga, and Carson Bowers here, just to name a few. They are the deep third pack in the field. Actually, maybe the deep fourth pack, because there's a third pack ahead of them. Here's pack number 2, featuring Lynn Farrell, Nate Newman, Cooper Dwight, Ant Me Person, Chris Harvey, Eli Wolf, Kara Shangle, Kellen Relic, and Jack Ross. Their lap times not quite in line with catching up to the leaders, as they're actually turning about the same lap times as the leaders, so it's going to be a little bit harder for them to catch up. Tasha Wright leads the way right now. Bella Fawn, as you got 2 chicks leading the field here. And this has been a recurring trend here tonight when you get kind of sorted and it's a drag race between the 2 at the front of the field. We did see that just last stint with Brian DeBlanc and Monty Shangle. Now we're happening to see that play out here with Tasha Wright and Bella Fawn. Well, and after tonight, the real racing can actually start, as we've opened up the season with 2 super speedways, which in all honesty is a crapshoot wild card for everyone involved. Next week we go road course racing, as we will tackle Brands Hatch in Europe. Then the next week we go short track racing, as we will revive Irwindale Unfortunately, the closure of Irwindale in real life has given us a newfound stint to try and revive tracks that are getting lost left and right. So Irwindale, one of those tracks, as well as Fontana, another track that we feature in the Sigma Cup Series, keeping the spirit of those tracks alive in the game so as to not forget about them. So from Irwindale, then you go to Atlanta, Fontana, Homestead, South Boston, Watkins Glen, Riverside, Chicagoland. You don't even see another super speedway until June, where we go to Michigan. So it's I mean, it is a super speedway, but it's not restrictor plate drafting super speedway. Anyways, the real grit of the schedule kind of kicks in after this week, where we will go from road course to short track to intermediate and so on. But don't discredit whoever comes out victorious tonight, as it's going to be a huge win no matter what. There's a reason why we have crown jewels throughout the season. Honestly, we won't have another crown jewel until May when we go to the Coke 600. And you'll start to notice a trend there. All of our crown jewel races are the lengthy ones. So like the Daytona 500 here tonight, crown jewel number 1. Coke 600 is crown jewel number 2. And then our third crown jewel of the season is our 777 annual from Las Vegas. It is a special Sigma exclusive where we run 777 kilometers at Las Vegas. That has been a staple since 2010, the inception of this series, and obviously we're in our 15th anniversary this year, so big celebrations to be had throughout the entire season. That 777 annual is going to be no different. The fourth crown jewel comes in September when we do the Southern 500. So a lot of which we kind of duplicate or try to simulate real life crown jewel events. But the final two are exclusive to Sigma and Sigma Cup alone, as the Music Fest Grand Prix for the first time ever is treated as a 5th crown jewel event on our schedule. And then we close out the season with our crown jewel number 6 from Indianapolis, where we had to do 50 more miles than the Indy 500. We do the Indy 550. So that's where these drivers want to come out victorious tonight and be a winner in one of the 6 crown jewel events that we host this year. Only one driver can come out victorious tonight, and it's gonna be a big win here. They have been laying it out on the line, running hard, but running clean. And that's all you can ask for in a race like this, is when you've got everyone giving it their all, but also not wrecking everyone to do it. Guido Piano, Louis Trost, and Rich Roy, kind of the 3 unlikely musketeers leading the way right now. We're going to see at least one more round of green flag pit stops, as we're down to 39 laps left to go. And here comes Bradley Ream out of nowhere, fighting to take the lead. It's been a while since we've seen him up front leading Here he is duking it out with Louis Trost and Rich Roy right now. Giving a little bit of a bump there to Guido Piano in the 23. You're going to have Tyler Shangle giving that 78 car a push to the lead. Guido Piano not wanting to give an inch, though, as he's fighting back on the outside. We saw this in the sprint qualifier last night, where everything really was clean, calm, and not out of sorts, but once we get down to the last couple laps, that's when I think the aggressive factors are going to kick in a little harder. These drivers have been masterful here tonight. There we go. First of the takers down pit road. You got the 22 of Trevor Walker. We already know that he's an early stopper. All alone, though, that's going to be brutal, as he's going to likely not have any drafting help on exit. Oh, yeah, we finally hit the 200-mile-an-hour mark. Tayden Berggren blistered a 44.9-second lap around the track here tonight. And that's on average for a 200-mile-an-hour lap. That's insanely fast around Daytona here tonight. I was having my doubts that we would see 200 miles an hour, but Tayden Berggren knocks it out of the park here. And that is that green and yellow Runza Chevrolet, the 43 of Tayden Berggren. Seems like he got that fast lap running in the outside line there. I'm astonished we even had a fast lap this late in the run. It must be the gas kind of wearing low and tires just hitting that right spot, so where they're out there going faster and faster. Well, they've caught the back half of the field now. The 40, Carson Bowers, looks like he's going to merge into traffic. Your leaders and this group seem to merge together here just fine. But they're going to go a lap down here. The likes of Al Bunch, Jacob Shangle, Lucas Holmes, James Fireball Robert. They're going to need a little bit of luck to go their way to get back into this race here. I'm thinking you're going to see a lot of drivers try to stretch it here, knowing that they can make it on one more pit stop. If they can get to about 30 laps to go, that's going to be the sweet spot to make it without any extension of laps here tonight. That's an almost perfect green flag run. And we will get a comp caution this next time if things get kind of wonky with pit stops. But otherwise, we might let it run all the way to the finish without a comp caution too. We'll just have to wait and see. This may very well be the first time we've ever been in a situation uncomfortable for your leaders, as you're mixed in there with lapped traffic, your leaders running faster than the obviously slower cars. This is almost a perfect recipe for disaster. How can you go to Daytona without having at least one wreck? It's just wild. Okay, now we're going to start seeing some takers down pit road, as this should be window open. No takers this time. Why would you want to go right at the open window? You might want to wait a while before taking that last pit stop here. A lot of these drivers want to bank on having extra fuel in the tank for any potential green-white checkers that we might have. But then again, I don't know if there's going to be any need for green-white checkers. If there's been no wrecks to this point, maybe we just make it to the finish without wrecking once. Here we go. Takers down pit road now. Looks like Rich Roy and a couple others making the hard left down into the pits. Tyler Schengle, your current leader. Bella Fawn in second. Tasha Wright in third. Then you've got Willow Blake with the top 5. Brian DeBlank, top 5. Tasha Wright's going to lead. Not quite. As the 42 Bella Fawn is your leader right now. Whoa, we've got our first caution of the race. Not a competition caution. Oh, this is going to shake things up, as there's some drivers that are now trapped a lap down, whereas there was a lot of drivers just trying to stretch it. I'm not even sure what the caution was for. I hear wrecking in the background. That is the 51. Oh, and that's after the fact. That was unnecessary. Wow, Tristan Reams comes to a gnarly stop there. He trying to get woed up, but just not getting woed up in time. Collects the 52, John Brinker. And the 18 of Chadwick with nowhere to go. Flipping over in the grass. Coming to a rest on all fours. Still trying to figure out why we're under caution here. Probably the most perfectly timed caution, is we were going to need a comp caution anyways. Maybe a bogus debris caution. We've seen those in NR2003 before. Oh, nope, never mind. First spin of the race, Nate Newman gets turned. He ends up colliding with the 23 of Guido Piano here on the backstretch. Just goes for a single car spin. The rest of the damage came later with Tristan Reams, though. We're going to take a moment here, folks, to get everyone wrapped back around. First real caution of the race. We're going to let this one run the laps. Might even add an extra pace lap in case it's required to wave around everyone that's needed to wave around. You don't really get lucky dogs in Sigma Cup. We just kind of try to keep everyone with a shot at running for the win here. Yeah, Chaz Chadwick retired after that gnarly wreck. What the heck happened to Wyatt Wilkinson here? Oh, that's what happened. More bunching up after the caution, unfortunately taking more folks out of the race tonight than anything else. I think the 9 of Braden Varga ran out of gas again. We saw him run out of gas once today already. It looks like he's run out of gas yet again. So he's been pushing it to the barren edge on fuel mileage. Alrighty, folks, it looks like we're going to get settled in for the final 24 laps here tonight as the lights should be turning off on the pace car. Bella Fawn and Tasha Wright lead them to the restart, and Willow Blake. So it's a female 1, 2, 3 at the front of the field. Going to be in for what looks to be a 23-lap shootout. We have at least 33 cars within a shot of winning it here tonight. Our retirements have grown a little bit, but we still have one of the largest fields with 24 laps to go at Daytona I've ever seen here. This crown jewel is going to be one to remember, folks. If you've been watching, you are clearly going to be witness to history here tonight in Sigma Cup action. Never have we had a race go this deep with this many racers left at a Daytona track ever. The slow roll back to racing action here as Tasha Wright has the lead over Bella Fawn and Willow Blake. Truly the first adversity we've been faced with here tonight. An actual physical wreck. Not a big one, but definitely still a wreck nonetheless. Here we got Bella Fawn stretching it out now, and unfortunately Wyatt Wilkinson with the damage to his car. It's looking like his day might be a little harder to maintain. What about that, folks? Andrew Moger up into the top 10 here. He has been soldiering along with a wounded number 82. On that fill-in for Alan Taylor, that 82 has been running a decent race here tonight. And Moger, the only driver capable tonight, getting 3 wins in 1 week at the same track. It would be so cool if that could happen. I don't want to jinx it, obviously, but he's got a shot, and that's all that matters when you get down to this many laps left in the race. To have a shot, to have the ability to get up front and make it happen. I think Willow Blake is asserting her point as to why she should be up in the Cup Series already. Going for the lead on Bella Fawn here. Cooper Dwight up to 4th. Last week's winner, Ewan Whatarmy, in the mix as well. The only reason Whatarmy won the race last week was his teammate Chaz Chadwick took out the entire field in the closing laps. Doesn't look like Chadwick's going to have the space to do that here tonight, as he's already been knocked out with damage sustained from the contact with the 51. Good thing is there's no more pit stops. Everyone's going to be good to go to the finish without having to worry about fuel mileage. So what you're looking at, folks, is the mad dash to the finish. Going to push the envelope 3 wide for second place as Ewan Whatarmy gets a good push from Taden Berggren. Oh, and I'm seeing a little bit of contact there between Willow Blake and Ewan Whatarmy. Willow's trying to send a message to her previous team owner. Things have kind of switched hands as she jumped over to Toyota. LFG Motorsports and TRD running second and third right there. How in the world? Man, this race has just been beyond wild, and I wonder if it has anything to do with the full moon out tonight. How in the world is Nate Newman running for position here? He just brought out the caution, getting spun by the 23, and didn't sustain enough damage, evidently, because he's right there in the mix to win it. Oofty. I don't want to do this to Braden, but if it's going to affect our race, I definitely don't want that to happen. Shoot, they're going to catch him too quickly here. Rough. So, 20 laps to go. They're going to catch Braden Varga here, and I hope they all clear him. Because I want to see this race play out with our group that we've got fighting for the win. Man, unfortunately, Braden Varga is going to hold up the traffic here. Let's just hope that maybe kind of merges in and joins the draft here. Doesn't seem to be too much of a rolling roadblock yet as they're getting around the 9. At least he's staying up high so they can take the low side and get by him. There we go. 85 goes low. Whatarmy trying to take the lead now. Rough patches, man. There's a lot of drivers that are going to be getting the boot here within the closing laps. I hate this for Wyatt Wilkinson as he had such a great run going here tonight. We're going to have to DQ the 17 of Wilkinson. So many times the opening races we have had it happen many times where a driver wins race 1 and 2. We've seen it with Scott Dixon. We've seen it with Dale Earnhardt Jr. And even the likes of Tyler Shangle. So Ewan Whatarmy would be joining a pretty exclusive group of people if he could get the win here tonight by winning back-to-back in the first 2 races of the season. Of course, you can't count your chickens before all the eggs have hatched. 15 laps to go. That's still a lot of racing around Daytona. And for some folks tonight, it just was not their night. And I have my eyeballs on the likes of Al Bunch, which has been a kind of a weird break from the norm for him. Almost reminiscent of his rookie campaign, you know. Wouldn't that be insanely crazy to have a surge like last year, winning all those races, and then fall back into your rookie campaign again? That, I mean, it's early in the season. You can't make those broad forecasts yet, but if 2 races was a gauge for an entire season, I would say that Al Bunch is running on par with his rookie campaign right now. So Kellen Relic slowly falling into the grasp of the leaders here. I'm really hoping we don't have to utilize green-white checkers tonight. But it's very possible with the lap traffic falling in like they are here that something might give. Here comes Brian DeBlanc with a push on Louis Trost. We're not going to DQ the 87 as he's still running decent pace. And he's got the drafting capabilities once he gets caught here to merge, just like Braden Varga did. So it's a lot of touch and go when you reach lap traffic like this at a super speedway. I am astonished with Nate Newman, dude. That's wild. Crazy. Bring out the caution and then still find a way up into the top of the field fighting for a win. Could potentially get Cadillac into a victory lane for their first time ever. It's a lot to do. It's a huge bounce back from last week where he could barely even finish amongst the lead lap drivers. DeBlanc is going to catch Kellen Relic at the worst case there, but it looks like Kellen's going to slow up all 3 lanes of traffic. That gives DeBlanc the lead back. 11 laps to go, folks. Make your picks. Root for your favorites. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty. Now we've got Cooper Dwight joining the party here as Brian DeBlanc leads Bellafon second, Ewan Whatarmy third, Cooper Dwight fourth. Then fifth, sixth, and seventh, it's a sandwich of Bradley Ream, Nate Newman, and Lewis Trost. Do not rule out anyone in this mid-pack here. Kerr Shangle, Monty Shangle, Tyler Shangle, dude. The whole Shangle clan in the mid-pack there. If I was Brian DeBlanc, I would not want to get too far out front. The further out front you get, the more likely the draft is going to swallow you whole. Bradley Ream going low here for what should be about a top 5 position. You're seeing a lot of your drivers take to the bottom and get into a position where they need to be. As we're down to 8 laps to go now. And still, with a shot to win this race, you've got really 23 cars that could still get into it here. Ewan Whatarmy duking it out with Brian DeBlanc right now for the lead. Bradley Ream, your defending Bridge to Cup champion. Willow Blake. Lewis Trost and Tasha Wright. That's a bummer for Cooper Dwight. He was on the move, and it looks like he got shuffled up high. Wrong place, wrong time to get shuffled in that outside lane, as this is more than likely going to be the kiss of death for that 41 team. Great run no matter what, but might be a bittersweet finish without a better result. Brian DeBlanc holding the lead over Ewan Whatarmy. Bradley Ream and Willow Blake on the charge as well. This is where it's going to get down to being at the right place at the right time. That inside line is where you want to be right now. Looking deeper in the field, a lot of desperation moves being made. Jimmy Logano trying to jump from one line to the other as he's not making up any ground. Being stuck that far back without an opportunity to make passes, it's just going to be a festering way to finish the race here without any room to move up. They're almost going to need a catalyst to happen here. Someone to hop out of line to really shake things up. Not seeing that catalyst yet. We did see it in the sprint qualifier last night. They waited until the last lap of our sprint qualifier to wreck half the field. Could we potentially be in for a repeat of that tonight for the main event? As we're closing in on the 3-hour mark here, the 500-mile event has been contested clean and full of action. Still not liking the lead that the 85's getting off to. He didn't want to break away too far from the draft. As soon as you do that, that's just going to allow someone else with a full head of steam to blow by you. 3 laps remaining here. And your 2 leaders really are breaking away from the rest of the pack. Here goes Ewan Whatarmy for a pass on the lead. That is very much worst case scenario as you get side by side. The draft's going to only dissipate further here. I think Bradley Ream might be in the catbird seat as those two getting side by side is going to slow up. Here comes Bradley Ream, 3 wide for the lead. 3 wide, that's only going to make things even more interesting as the rest of the field's going to draft up to him here. 2 laps once they cross the line. Man, this is one way to close out a crown jewel event here, folks. 3 drivers giving it their all at the front of the field with 20 more behind them, still capable of stealing the win here. Willow Blake giving Bradley Ream one hell of a push. That puts Bradley Ream to the front. 3 by 3 they run behind Ream. Is Ream going to be able to block all lanes of traffic here? Not sure he's going to be able to slow down that inside line. DeBlanc goes way high. Perhaps trying to find a little bit more momentum on the outside, where momentum's often hard to find. 78 getting out to too big of a lead yet again. The leaders keep breaking away, and I don't like that because that only allows for this group to kind of slinky back into contention. Lewis Trost, Willow Blake, Ewan Whatarmy. As they come around turns 3 and 4, we're going to see the white flag waving in the air. It's Bradley Ream leading them to the white flag. There's not going to be no green-white checkers here tonight as it's going to go in regulation. Ewan Whatarmy trying to fight for back-to-back wins. Willow Blake just trying to assert herself in a series that she wants to someday run with. Lewis Trost trying to reclaim former glories in that 29 car. And then you just got a whole slew of cars behind that could still find a way to sneak one out here tonight. Bradley Ream doing his job, though, holding momentum behind him. We'll see if the draft's going to catch up on the exit of turn 4 as Bradley Ream leads them to the checkered flag. Bradley Ream, your Bridge to Cup defending champion, wins here today, the Daytona 500. Bradley Ream and Ewan Whatarmy, man, back-to-back weeks we had a Bridge to Cup champion win a race. So it's paying off dividends for these Bridge to Cuppers moving up into Cup. Last year it was Al Bunch, your at that time defending Bridge to Cup champion. Maybe, just maybe, it's a telling tale to be your Bridge to Cup champion from last year, as Bradley Ream gets the job done here tonight, folks. And he didn't lead a whole lot of laps, but the ones that he did lead, obviously the most important. we had seen, this is kind of bringing back glory of Bradley Ream's entry into the truck series. We saw Bradley Ream kind of swinging out of the gates for the USA Trucks, and this being his first full year in Cup, a rookie contender gets his first career Cup win at the biggest stage of them all in Daytona. And that, folks, is how we do racing in Sigma Cup. We were treated to a prime race here tonight. Everyone had a shot at winning it at one point or another, and it came down to lap 200 before we knew who was going to come out on top. Bradley Ream, Ewan Whatarmy, Willow Blake, Lewis Trost, and Tasha Wright, your top 5. Then you've got Monty Shangle, Lynn Farrell, Tyler Shangle, Kara Shangle, and Brian DeBlank, your top 10. Guido Piano, Jimmy Logano, Bella Fawn, Ant Me Person, and Tayden Bergeron round out your top 15. Al Bunch was able to muster a 27th here, which is a far cry from what we would have seen from him last year about this time. And so, yeah, with that, we've got 2 of our longer races out of the way at the early start of the season. Our Cup races are going to get a little bit more easily digestible with the shorter length races that are coming up. For those of you that tuned in to watch the entirety of last week's race and the entirety of this week's race, bravo. You were treated to an excellent one here tonight, folks. Bradley Ream, man, you're a Sigma Cup champion, Sigma Cup winner. Not he is a Bridge to Cup champion, but not a Cup champion yet. He's probably going to walk away here with a good point standings. I think Ewan Whatarmy with a first and second will be your points leader exiting here tonight. But yeah, 2 races into the season, 2 different winners, and our first rookie winner of the year. Already out of the gate, it seems the Sigma Daytona 500 could be on par for race of the year already. And we're only in February here for 2025, so thanks again, folks, for tuning in. That was an excellent race, and I'm excited for the rest of the season to really get rolling here. It seems like, knock on wood, I've been able to fix my new PC with NR2003 crashes. Now, the solution was I downloaded a patch that made it so it was more optimized for Windows 11, and boy golly did we get a good one tonight. So with that, folks, happy Daytona 500 week. Hopefully y'all can catch the Daytona 500, and hopefully it doesn't get rain delayed to Monday. I want a Sunday race. Even if it's a Sunday night race, that would be okay by me. But until next week, we are off now. Sigma Racing returns Monday. Well, Tuesday. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Recording on Monday for the trucks next race. Tuesday premiere with the Bridge to Cup race to follow. And then Thursday with ARCA Cup like we did again. Just repeat for next week. So have a good one, folks. Stay safe out there. And until next time, this is Jakester signing out.